What is up, everybody? It is your boy, the voice of Akubulon, back again with another video, just presenting the news from our beautiful motherland. Let's start, okay? Africa is always at war. Let's begin with that. Whether on the battlefield or behind closed doors, where deals are made that determine who thrives and who suffers. But this is not just about bullets and bloodshed. This is about economic warfare, social engineering, and the quiet battles that dictate the future of an entire continent. Every time an African country tries to stand on its own, the system reminds it who's in charge. Every time a movement for change emerges, forces are mobilized to crush it before it gains momentum. And every time the people dare to ask questions, they are distracted with conflict, celebrity gossip, or fear. Today, we take a hard look at four major events that show the ongoing war for Africa's soul. In South Africa, a gay imam has been assassinated, exposing deep tensions between tradition, progress, and extremism. In Mali, a gold mine collapse has killed dozens, once again revealing the brutal cost of Africa's mineral wealth. In Niger, the United Nations and Western powers tightening the screws with economic sanctions, punishing a country that dared to remove a leader aligned with France. And then we uncover one hidden battle that is rarely discussed, but might be the most important of all. The question remains, as always, when will Africa finally take control of its destiny? Let's talk about the first news topic, the assassination of a gay imam in South Africa. Is this freedom or repression? South Africa has always stood as a paradox. On one hand, it is celebrated as Africa's most progressive nation, one of the few where LGBTQ+ rights are legally protected. On the other hand, it remains a deeply divided with a complex history of colonialism, apartheid, and cultural conflict. The recent assassination of Imam Marcin Hendricks, a religious leader known for his advocacy of LGBTQ+ inclusion in Islam, has reignited one of the continent's most explosive debates. Where does Africa stand in the battle between tradition and modernity? Hendricks was not just a religious leader. He was a symbol of resistance against conservative interpretations of Islam. His death has sparked outrage amongst activists, but also quite approval from those who viewed his movement as a threat to religious values. Some may argue that the murder was an act of a lone extremist, but history suggests otherwise. Whenever Africa begins to shift in a new direction, whether politically, culturally, or economically, there is always a response. Was this a targeted killing designed to silence progress, or was it part of a broader unspoken war within African society? The battle over social change is one of the many fronts in Africa's larger struggle for true independence. Let's look at the good, the bad, and the hidden agenda, okay? For those fighting for LGBTQ+ rights in Africa, Hendricks represented hope. His death is a setback, but his movements will likely grow stronger. However, the bad is clear. Africa remains divided on issues of identity, and many leaders use social conservatism as a political weapon to distract from economic struggle. Every time Africa is consumed by cultural war, it takes attention away from the larger economic battles happening behind the scenes. Who benefits from this? Well, political and religious elites who use division to maintain power benefit. How about who lose, right? The African people. The African people who are forced to fight each other instead of their true oppressors. Next, we move on to Mali, where Mali's gold mine collapsed. Who profits from Africa's wealth? That is a question I want to ask you guys. Comment down below. See, well, gold is supposed to bring prosperity, right? Instead, it buries its workers alive. In Mali, a gold mine collapse has killed at least 48 miners, a tragedy that highlights a much larger issue. Why do African nations remain poor despite sitting on some of the world's most valuable resources? Mali is Africa's third largest gold producer, yet little of this wealth stays in the country. Instead, foreign companies dominate the industry, extracting billions while local workers risk their lives lives in dangerous, unregulated mines. The collapse of the Kungaba mine is not just an accident, it's the consequence of a system that prioritizes profit over human lives. This is the same story repeated across the continent, whether it's gold in Mali, oil in Nigeria, or diamonds in the DRC. Africa's resources do not belong to Africa. They are controlled by multinational corporations backed by powerful governments that ensure they maintain dominance. Every time an African country tries to take control of its own wealth, it faces sanctions, coups, or economic sabotage. What is the good, the bad, and the hidden agenda? The only good that comes from this tragedy is renewed pressure on African governments to regulate their mining industries. The bad is that history shows these deaths will likely be forgotten as long as the gold keeps flowing. The hidden agenda? Well, African leaders often collaborate with foreign companies, ensuring that profits never reach the people. So, who actually benefits? Well, foreign mining companies and corrupt officials who profits from exploitation. Who loses? Well, the workers and the communities who should be benefiting from their own land. Next, let's talk about UN's sanctions on Niger, which is a price of their defiance. Niger's military leaders made one big mistake in the eyes of the West. They removed a president loyal to France. Ever since, the country has been punished with economic sanctions, diplomatic isolation, and now the United Nations pressure to comply with international demands. But who does the UN really serve? Niger is a major supplier of uranium, a resource critical to France's nuclear energy program. The moment its new leadership suggested reviewing mining contracts and prioritizing national interests, the response was swift. Sanctions were imposed, bank assets were frozen, and trade restrictions were enforced. This is not about democracy. If it were, the West will be equally aggressive towards African dictatorships that support their interests. Instead, this is about sending a message that any African country that tries to break free from foreign control will be economically strangled. What is the good, the bad, and the hidden agenda in this? The good is that Niger's leadership has remained firm, refusing to reverse course. The bad is that sanctions are pushing millions into poverty, hunger, and economic suffering. The hidden agenda? Well, the West is not protecting democracy. It is protecting access to Africa's resources. Who benefits from this? Well, France and its allies who want control over Niger's uranium. Well, who loses? The people of Niger who suffer while their leaders are punished for defiance. Next, let's talk about the hidden battle, the fourth news topic I want to talk about. Now, will Africa ever control its own digital future? Now, while we focus on wars, assassinations, and sanctions, there's another war happening quietly. The battle for Africa's digital economy. Right now, American, Chinese, and European tech giants are investing billions in Africa's internet infrastructure. But with these investments come data control, surveillance, and influence over African digital spaces. China's Huawei dominates Africa's telecommunications sector. The US is pushing big tech expansion in the name of economic growth. Meanwhile, European companies are setting up cybersecurity frameworks that give them access to African digital data. If Africa does not take control of its own tech infrastructure, it will become digitally colonized just as it was colonized physically. What is the good, the bad, and the hidden agenda? Well, the expansion of Africa's digital economy has potential, but only if Africans control it. The bad? Well, tech monopolies are already positioning themselves to dominate Africa's future market. The hidden agenda is that data is now the new gold. Whoever controls it controls the continent. So, who benefits actually? Global tech companies looking to exploit Africa's rising digital market. How about who loses? Well, our future African generations. If they remain dependent on foreign technology, this will happen. What are your thoughts? Comment down below. Will Africa ever break free? Okay? The chains bound to Africa are invisible, but they are real. Whether through social Whether through social division, economic control, resource theft, or digital dominance, Africa is under siege. The question is not just who controls Africa today, but who will control it tomorrow. The battle is far from over. Thank you for sticking out with me. Thank you for sticking out with me. I appreciate you guys joining me on another journey to discuss the progress of Africa. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace!